Good evening and welcome to the Caring Matters virtual Silver Lining Celebration. I'm Alison Stearns, the CEO of Caring Matters. Last year at our in-person gala, we celebrated our 30th anniversary, reflected on our past achievements, and turned towards our future. I'm sure none of us could have imagined this future. For an organization built on the notion of being present, this year has been an abrupt and urgent shift. We paused our practice of hand-holding and hugs, and we got to work on new processes and technologies so we could continue providing emotional lifelines to our community at precisely the time they needed us most. I'm so proud of our volunteers, board of directors, board of trustees, supporters, community partners, and staff for rising to the occasion day after day for the past 7 months. Our success is built on what we all know is true, that caring matters. Sharing, listening, and offering to help are all meaningful ways to be present for each other. A bag of groceries or a drugstore purchase delivered to the door can bring tears of relief and gratitude. A friendly face on a computer screen can validate one's experience and possibly relieve a slight bit of grief's heartache. We will continue to do our important work, explore additional ways to provide compassionate support, and look forward to getting to a new normal, hopefully one that includes hugs and in-person celebrations. In the meantime, we're gathered here together on Zoom. As a way to connect with one another, I'd like to encourage you to post messages in the chat box this evening. Feel free to greet each other, to thank our sponsors, congratulate our honorees during the program. My remarks for this event are always full of gratitude, and this year my feelings of gratitude are even more expansive than ever. I'd like to offer sincere gratitude to our event sponsors and advertisers for your generous support. You have stayed by our side and offered the encouragement and flexibility that's inspired us to work through these challenging times. Thank you to our incredible board of directors and board of trustees. It's an honor and privilege to work with you. Your leadership has helped Caring Matters stay strong and balanced during this unprecedented time. Thank you to our staff and volunteers who have remained positive and determined. Last but not least, thank you and congratulations to tonight's honorees, Craig Rice, Ken Gemmel, and Jerry Gimmel. Your kindness and generosity, each in your own unique ways, has helped to make us who we are today. I'd also be remiss if I didn't give a huge thank you and shout out to Lee Bluestein, our Director of Communications and Education, who has been working tirelessly coordinating plans and details for tonight's event, as well as the beautiful keepsake book that was launched today. Just a couple of weeks ago, our community lost a gem. Pam Hard was an inspirational and influential presence in the Caring Matters community for so many years, and we will all miss her deeply. She was also the wife of Bill Hard, a longtime and dedicated member of our board of directors. As a fitting tribute to Pam, we are proud to introduce the founding members of our Pam Hard Legacy Circle, who are all listed in the keepsake book. We are very excited to launch this important initiative. When you pledge a planned gift and become a member of the Legacy Circle, you become part of a group of compassionate and caring donors who want to ensure that their support for Caring Matters leaves a lasting legacy that reflects their values for generations to come. Thank you to everybody who has joined us in this effort. If you're interested in learning more, please contact me at your convenience. And now, it is my honor to begin our award ceremony. For the past 5 years, Councilmember Craig Rice has served as our charismatic MC for our extremely talented and persuasive auctioneer. We'd like to think that his spectacular appearances at our past galas are partially responsible for for the high demand of his MC skills amongst Montgomery County nonprofits. No matter how busy he is, either serving his third term as a council member or being an involved dad to his children or devoted husband to his wife, Tia, he always makes time for Caring Matters. Like so many of us, loss and grief have had a major influence in his life and his work. His shared stories of loss and expressing grief models and normalizes conversations about painful subjects, creating a healthier and more compassionate community. Craig's support of our mission and our work has helped to elevate our visibility in the community, enabling us to reach more people in need of support and build successful community partnerships. On behalf of the entire Caring Matters community, I would like to say thank you, Craig. Every day, your leadership and commitment brings out the best in us all and leads us to strive for more. I am so honored to present to you the Caring Matters 2020 Leadership Award.
Well, thank you very much, Allison, and my lovely wife, Tia, is here with me as she normally is for these great events. And I just first have to say thank you very much for this. This is way too much. It is an absolute pleasure for me to continue to do good things in supporting great organizations who do such an important task in our community, which is making sure that people understand that grieving is okay, that it's not something that you need to hide. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to miss someone and wish that you had just one more moment to be able to tell them one thing or talk to them about something. That's okay to feel. And I think that, again, having those kinds of support mechanisms so that folks understand that is just incredibly important to our overall process of living, right? Because living is the acceptance of dying, the acceptance of the process itself, but it helps to be able to talk with more people about just that, who are experiencing the exact same things you are. And so you know that you're not some sort of oddity, that you are the norm. That's incredibly important. And so, again, I just really want to say thank you. But more importantly, thank you to all the volunteers. Thank you to all the staff who are there holding people's hands, who are telling them that it's going to be okay, who are helping them through the tough times. They're the ones who are the strength of your organization. Not to take anything away from your board members and your funders, and because they're all important. But those folks who do that work that is really tough, to be that shoulder to cry on, are the ones that are heroes in my book. And so I dedicate this to them for all of their great work that they continue to do. And I know they'll be doing it for decades to come. So thank you very much, guys. So I'd also like to take this opportunity now because I am not only, I always do the dual duty of being an honoree, but also helping to issue the program along, that I'm going to talk a little bit about the Keepsake book. And that's something personal to me, as I know it is to many of you who've had a chance to see this book. It is really important because it is a great understanding of the reflections of love, loss, and grief from so many in our community. Today, you should have all received a link to the digital copy. It's titled The Silver Linings of Caring Matters, Reflections on Love, Loss, and Grief. And it was developed in a way to make sure that we connected and inspired the Caring Matters community during this really tough time of physical distancing, but make sure that we could all share the stories. I hope you read mine about my good friend and Chief of Staff, Steve Goldstein. I know that many of you have read all the great stories that are out there. And it's a share not only of grief and loss, but also of pride and joy. Those two things go hand in hand. And so it's really great that folks were able to submit these essays on topics that inspired them. And we really hope that this is going to continue to help normalize those conversations around grief. Make sure that people can continue to talk about how it is that folks are processing and analyzing the feelings that they're going through, but that other people who haven't experienced it yet will know how they can do it too, and know that their feelings will be natural, that their feelings are okay. And they can also consider how to support other people who may be going through the healing process. Many of us, unfortunately, have lost people during this COVID time. And so again, understanding ways to support others in our family and in our community is going to be incredibly important as well. And so printed copies of the keepsake book are going to be available in the next few weeks. So make sure you look out for those. But I encourage you to take a look. I've seen some of the chat messages. I've gotten text messages from folks who've talked about how great they are. These essays are powerful. And so with that in mind, I'd like to turn it over to a good friend of mine, a person who I met quite some time ago when I first got elected. And I knew from the second I saw her, when I saw her outfit, I knew she would be a friend of mine. And that is Miss Carol Trawick. Carol Trawick is the president of the Jim and Carol Trawick Foundation. And she and her late husband, Jim, founded that foundation in 2007. And Carol is now going to be reading her essay entitled Jim. Carol, I hand the microphone to you.
Thanks, Craig, and congratulations. I always introduced him as my business partner, best friend, and lover. My business partner, because for 21 years, we worked side by side in our IT services business. He was the brilliant engineer, and I, oh well, we had just the right yin-yang. My best friend, because from the moment we met on the plane those many years ago, something clicked. So much in common, with just enough difference to make it exciting and challenging. We had just the right yin-yang. And lover, because, well, we had just the right yin-yang. Since he had become very health conscious and had just returned from a medical retreat, his middle of the night massive heart attack was a shock. We almost lost him, but we didn't. His condition, with doctor visits, surgeries, medicines, diet, and low energy, became our new normal for 7 years. So it was just another trip to the hospital, but this time he didn't come home with me. Death is always a shock. For me, it was the forever separation in this life from my business partner, best friend, and lover. Then I recalled the childhood story of the Canadian geese. They mated for life. When one died, the other continued with the flock, still flying, experiencing some past remembrances, and finding new ones. And now I invite Anu Sharman, a member of the CaringMatters Board of Directors, to read her essay entitled Memories That Will Never Be. Anu?
Thank you, Carol. Memories that will never be. I was 22 years old and my mother was 46. She was a nurturer in every sense of the word. Her world was her 3 daughters. She made sure we wanted for nothing and encouraged us to follow our dreams. Life was good and life was normal. Then she went in for a routine cataract surgery under the care of a renowned surgeon at a large city hospital. We thought, what could possibly go wrong? But everything went wrong. Complications from the surgery sent my young, vibrant mother to the hospital, where she lingered in and out of consciousness for a month until she died. I have to admit that never, even for a moment, did I entertain the possibility that she would not survive. Perhaps that optimistic outlook made her death even more shocking and traumatic. I was not prepared. Her death haunts me to this day. 36 years later, I have not been able to come to terms with losing her, and my grief is still raw and multifaceted. The reality that I have so many unanswered questions keeps my healing at bay. Why did I not realize that she may die? Why did I not hold her, talk to her, express my feelings? Why? Along with questions, I am left with wishes and longing that reside in a painful void that doesn't seem to get any better. I wish I had done more. She made so many sacrifices for us and deserved so much more life than she was granted. I imagine her cooking with my kids and creating special memories. What do you call memories that can never be? I don't think a word exists to express that aspect of grief, but it doesn't stop me from dreaming and wondering what could have been. I would like to now pass the microphone to Nancy Richardson, a fellow CaringMatters board member who is also the immediate past president of the board.
Thank you, Anu. Thank you for sharing that story with us. People enter our lives in many different ways, some during times of joy and other during times of sadness and grief. Ken Gemmell and I met during the latter. After his wife, Marie, his two sons, Cole and Devin, and the family pets, Max and Sally, were killed in a tragic accident. His daughter, Arabelle, was at school at the time of the accident, and I was working at the school. And I had the privilege over the next year of supporting Arabelle weekly as she began her grief journey. She and I met once a week during the school year, and together we made a beautiful journal about her feelings and her memories of her mom and her brothers. That summer, Arabelle attended Camp Erin, and she learned from her peers that she was not alone in her grief. Although Ken was facing his own unimaginable pain, his primary concern was always Arabelle. I used to call him at night and tell him what we talked about, and he would ask me how I thought she was doing. Since his daughter's positive experience at Camp Erin, Ken became an engaged and generous donor of CaringMatters. He found a renewed purpose in helping others in his community. When Ken met his wife, Amy, they bonded over their shared experiences with grief. Amy's first husband died when she was pregnant with their son, Bennett. Together, they have been able to make a real difference in our community, from supporting CaringMatters to raising money and helping to completely refurbish a Gaithersburg playground in honor of Marie, Cole, and Devin. They have also created endowment scholarships at Rowan University, at the University of Maryland, and at the University of Pittsburgh for T.R. Randolph, Bennett's father. For his compassionate spirit and support of grieving children, I am proud to present Ken Gemmell with the CaringMatters 2020 Legacy Award in honor and memory of Marie, Cole, and Kevin Gemmell.
Thank you very much, Nancy. That was a lovely introduction.
Thank you.
Always present challenges. The four of us have dealt with some of the hardest challenges a family could ever face. Arabelle and myself losing 3 members of our family, and Amy losing her husband while 6 months pregnant, or Bennett sadly never getting a chance to meet his father, TR. It would be easy to let all of that take its toll on us. Instead, we have done our best to overcome and heal. We still struggle with this loss every day, but we are grateful to have each other to lean on and support. We couldn't have healed ourselves without groups like Caring Matters. We have done more than just survive unspeakable loss. The four of us together have also worked hard to give back to the community that helped us so much. We have all had experiences with grief counselors, grief sessions, and counseling with other families, and connecting with other families that have lost spouses, parents, and children. Arabelle even got to attend Caring Matters Camp Erin. It was an amazing program that let her know that she was not alone in her loss. I remember the following year, Arabelle was able to console one of her classmates after he lost his father. Before the support of Caring Matters and the community at large, it would have been hard for her to process all that had happened. But in that moment, reflecting on that she was supporting someone else who was also grieving, I was so incredibly proud of how much she had grown and learned. Caring Matters support definitely played a part in facilitating that. We wouldn't be where we are today without organizations like Caring Matters, and I'm glad they were there for us when we needed them. I hope that with our support and all of our support, Caring Matters will be there for our community for many years to come. Now I'd like to welcome Lisa Creamer, a member of Caring Matters Board of Trustees and a Good Grief Club facilitator, to read her essay, Brushes with Grief.
Thank you, Ken. Brushes with grief. Growing up in my family, there were rituals around death, but very little, if any, discussion of grief. Stoicism, independence, and a heaping dose of Irish-German grit were the prescriptions for all life challenges. This philosophy was understandable because both of my parents as children suffered the loss of their fathers to slow progressive diseases. So I experienced the loss of family and friends, never missing a day of school or work, even after the death of my beloved grandmother when I was 15, or the miscarriage of my first child on my 26th birthday. I would describe my experience after losses as brushes with grief. Brief periods of mourning which barely scratched the surface, never too long, too deep, or too painful. It wasn't until my mother was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer that I discovered the richness of the end of life and grief journeys. Certainly there was fear of the unknown and sadness, but there was also a new focus on the present, a delight in ordinary things, and a winnowing down of life to its most precious elements, family, love, and joy. A year after my mother's death, I completed the Caring Matters Then Hospice Caring volunteer training program. There, I learned a new language, one of emotions, self-care, and the realities of the end of life and grief journeys. While challenging and sometimes overwhelming, this new language was personally transformational. As a Good Grief Club facilitator since 2010, I've had the opportunity to learn even more from the best teachers I could imagine, the children in my Good Grief Clubs. They've taught me that it's okay to not be okay for a while, that both talking and sitting in silence can heal, and that leaning on a support system is important. These lessons proved vital to me after suffering the loss of my father to suicide in 2019. Now, as strange as it may sound, I'm grateful that my brushes with grief are broad, deep strokes instead of controlled surface skims. In the depths of these strokes, I've discovered many gifts of grief: acceptance walking in life's messiness, peace living with uncertainty, support from community, and wisdom from exploring my emotions. Perhaps the biggest gift has been the recognition that no matter how dark the grief journey, the light does return and may even shine brighter than before. Thank you. Now it is my honor and privilege to hand the microphone over to Penny Gladhill, one of the founders of Hospice Caring, now CaringMatters. She currently serves as the Director of Volunteer Helping Hands. Penny is also known as our resident angel. Penny.
I am honored to be here tonight to present the 2020 Loyalty Award to Mr. Jerry Gimmel for his dedication, service, and loyalty to CaringMatters. As a further tribute, the CaringMatters Board of Directors has declared that this award will be known as the Jerry Gimmel Loyalty Award in his honor. He has officially set the standard for loyalty. Jerry, I remember the day you walked into our Board of Directors meeting. You introduced yourself, you sat down, and you listened. In those beginning days, we were performing miracles on a very small scale, but miracles they were, and you recognized that. Your quiet presence became the strength of our organization. I remember our first trustee dinner at the Woodfin Suites, where you brought together some amazing people, some of whom are still with us today. As the years went by, we had some bumps along the way, but because you were there, we landed softly and developed into this amazing organization called CaringMatters. You have been the continuous strong thread in the fabric of this organization in both visible and invisible ways. So tonight we honor you and thank you for believing and supporting us through all the changes in all the years. They say it takes a village, and it does. But when an organization has a Jerry Gimmel, that village is strong and safe because of the presence of you. Thank you for caring. It matters.
Can you unmute? I'm unmuted. Thank you, Penny. It has been a rewarding ride, even with the bumps. And there have been a few bumps here and there. I'm honored to receive this CaringMatters Loyalty Award. It's a beautiful award, and I appreciate it very much. And when board chair Audrey Rothstein told me that the award was now being named after me, I was both overwhelmed and speechless. For an attorney, being speechless is not a good thing. Being part of the success of CaringMatters has been a rewarding journey of now 30 years. But what a wonderful organization, founded on the principle that one should not have to be alone during difficult times. What has made this organization so wonderful is both the contributions of time, energy, vision, and yes, money from so many different people. It is this broad-based community support that has made us successful, as each person has given of themselves as they can. While clearly our strength is from our incredible number of volunteers, supporters, and staff who have each contributed what they can, CaringMatters has also benefited from some outstanding leaders. Specifically, Penny. Our first executive director, Carol Sheehan, who made Penny's vision into a functioning organization. Our second executive director, Lisa McKillop, who elevated the organization to a much higher level in service, finances, and credibility. Our extraordinary current Chief Executive Officer, Alison Stearns, who has expanded our footprint, services, and influence even higher. Of the many, many, many volunteers who deserve recognition, Bernie Buteau must be mentioned. He came to the organization in its first days to help create an IT capability and stayed to serve 20 years on the board of directors, 6 years as its chair during the formative years, and always as a counselor and source of advice. I want to thank my law firm for its support of Caring Matters, including participating in many of its events. Those thanks especially go to my assistants, Cy Claycamp, in the first years, and for the last 20 years, Abby Spencer, who both helped me help Caring Matters. I also thank my wife, Carol, for her support of Caring Matters and of me in my work with Caring Matters. I felt proud to be associated with Caring Matters because of its mission, the work that it does, and the fantastic people involved. I did not know I was making a 30-year commitment when I attended that first meeting, but I look forward to doing what I can in the next 30 years. My congratulations to my fellow awardees, Craig Rice and Ken Gemmel, who are both very deserving, and thank you again for this award. It's my duty now to introduce Nicole Denier. She's the daughter of Alison Henderson. Alison was one of our board of director members who recently passed away. Nicole is going to read her essay entitled Perennial.
Thank you, Jerry, and congratulations. Perennial. My mother passed away right as her irises lost their blooms. She loved flowers. On the weekends, we went to pick bouquets from the farmer's market, and when she was feeling energetic, we visited public gardens. As the pandemic hit, she lamented that she wouldn't be able to go to the nursery to pick out annuals to plant in her garden and around the house. We were instead stuck with the peonies and irises that rose dutifully in spite of it all. We checked the plants daily, watching green shoots slowly open to small pink or purple tips that eventually burst into fragrant blossoms. For a couple of weeks, we admired the flowers. She walked outside to smell them, even though she could neither walk nor smell particularly well. Then, one day, both she and they were gone. The preceding months were tumultuous. She left behind her career, and I put mine on hold to care for her. Treatments simultaneously afforded time and stole life away. The rituals of flower picking and tending stood as a stable injection of beauty into whatever was happening at the moment. Sensing her love, friends, family, and flower sellers kept her stocked with arrangements that reflected the beauty of each season. Now I look back and think not of the hardships of the cancer that took her, but the splendor of a house filled with lovingly chosen and given flowers, and its resident who concentrated on filling her life with beauty to her very last day. It's now my great pleasure to introduce a dear friend and colleague of my mom, Darcy Petraeca, a senior study director at Westat.
Nicole, your essay was beautiful, so thank you for sharing this lovely remembrance of your mom. As you said, my name is Darcy Petraeca, and I'm a friend and former colleague of Alison Henderson. When thinking about remarks, my initial inclination was to talk about Alison's love for true crime, because it was a lot, or her never-ending conspiracy theories, also a lot, and maybe not so wrong. But then I decided to pivot and say things that would likely make her uncomfortable, but that are so, so true. Alison was beloved and admired by all who had the privilege of knowing her. People were instantly drawn to her warmth, her intelligence, her wit, and her wicked sense of humor, and her strength of character. I met Alison in 1998 when I joined Westat. She was my boss and my mentor. She taught me and her team so much about business and the world. She had a huge impact at our company. She was a vice president who brought in tens of millions of dollars, but of equal, and I would actually say of more importance, it was the value she put on relationships. This was evident in friendships with clients long after contracts ended, and in partnerships that she shepherded with our company and community organizations. Her friendships within our company were wide and they were deep. From the graphics department to the mailroom, Alison had friends everywhere. And within our education group, she was not only our boss and our mentor, but she was a best friend. She was family. I remember having lunch with some colleagues, probably somehow 20 years ago. A colleague was sharing how his 20-something-year-old son had recently gone through a breakup and was heartbroken. Our colleague noted that it was just puppy love and his son would get over it. I remember Alison looking up from her salad, pausing and saying, "There's no such thing as puppy love. There's just love as we experience it in the moment." And that truth has stuck with me and guided me ever since. Everyone who met Alison could see that she lived by a set of fundamental truths. the importance of relationships, of love, and the goal of embracing life, every moment, every single day. Alison's illness brought these truths into complete clarity for her. You will hear this clarity in the beautiful video filmed and produced by County Cable Montgomery for the Montgomery County Council. The video elegantly captures Alison's image and voice, and it's truly a gift to us all. Not only for those of us who knew and who loved her, but also everyone who needs a reminder to always embrace life and love.
My name is Alison Henderson, and I'm 58 years old. Starting in December of 2017, I started losing a lot of weight, started to feel really sick and exhausted. Something is wrong. I went to my GI. She's a nurse practitioner. She had me diagnosed within the day, and when I was diagnosed, it was pretty devastating. Pancreatic cancer is one of those ones that you don't really come out of. And it has morphed into stage 4. It has spread to the liver and kidneys and lungs as well. And I've been involved with CaringMatters for a long time and kind of see hospice through that lens as kind of the caregiver lens. And having lost both of my parents to cancer, I knew what the deal was. I knew it was a death sentence. It was like, I need to go home. I need to go home and just relax. But that day was just horrible. I'm worried, of course. I jumped 10 steps ahead to, I don't want to be in pain. I don't want drama. I don't want this and that. What about my daughter? You know, I'm really concerned about her. And then my big thing, which everybody laughs at me about, is I have 2 cats that I'm going to have to rehome. And I was just like, well, you know, everybody else will be fine but my cats. So that's kind of got the things that just go through your head. I just feel incredibly strong that people need to think of death and dying as just part of their general wellness plan. And don't get me wrong, even if you have everything planned out in advance, there's still a million forms to fill out in the healthcare sector. But it really has allowed me to focus on what my oncologist calls the golden moments. And right now he says I'm in my golden phase of probably where I'm going to be my healthiest right now. But I would much rather be spending my time with my daughter. You know, I've had some of the best times of my life in this period. And you know, I'm not gonna, people are like, yeah, but you're dying. I'm like, yeah, but I'm not dead. You know, so it has just really given me the opportunity to kind of close out nicely. I am truly at peace with where this is going and how it's going to end, and that I owe a lot to the hospice people. It's a lot of work being positive, you know, and I can see sometimes why people just want to crawl up into a ball and be bitter, but I really wanted to value my time with that was my choice, that my family trumped me having a pity party all the time, although I have them every once in a while. And there's tons of resources in this county, tons. And if you need them, they're there. CaringMatters has excellent grief programs for children. It's not just about the person who's dying, it's about the whole caregiving family, and just, you know, the Camp Aaron for children. It's just phenomenal what these volunteers do. And they're here and just waiting to be used. Keep an open mind, enjoy the journey. You know, yes, it's sad, and it's always in the back of my mind that, you know, I have an expiration date coming up, but the joy that I get from being with my daughter and my brother and my nieces and just getting out and doing things I love to do, it just has put me so at peace. And so I would encourage people to fight that bitterness and that sadness as much as you can, even though it won't go away 100%. And take this as an opportunity to just embrace life one last time.
Wow, that is incredibly powerful. And I think that it is very clear from hearing everyone's voice tonight and from seeing that video that there is so much love in the world. And everybody expressed that today. Everybody told stories about their loved ones. Everybody told stories and read essays about how they made them feel, how their families were resilient, how people around them supported them. That is truly the definition of love. And it's so great to see that, again, in this difficult time, that there is so much love in our world. I really want to say congratulations to my fellow awardees, to both Ken and Jerry for their great work in terms of handling grief and doing great things with that energy that came from that grief. You all have options in terms of how you want to direct that energy. And you heard from some of the essays, how some of the people have now channeled that work in terms of whether it's them and insisting that their lives are different because of it, whether it's helping other people. Ken, I was so moved by the story of your daughter now being a caregiver herself to someone else in her own respect. That's powerful. That really talks about the power of what Caring Matters is truly about. It really is about empowering you as an individual to take that grief, channel it, understand it, embrace it, and then use it for good. You know, so when I heard the great words that Carol said about her husband, I knew the story about your mother. When I heard Lisa, when I heard Nicole talk about their loved ones, it's one of those where, again, we have to remember that these painful times are difficult for all of us. Grief is not easy, and the loss of a loved one is hard. And the wish that you had, like I said at the opening, just that one more opportunity to say one more thing, to spend one more day, right? Those feelings are natural. But the reality is that we have so many great memories. And I saw something in the chat, Anu, that someone had put to you in terms of what do you call those memories that will never be? And someone said something beautiful about footsteps in your heart. I mean, it's those kinds of things, because we know that internally we have these things inside us that we know can never be taken away and never erased. That's the beautiful thing, and that's what you get from working with Caring Matters and the great people that are there to ensure that we can help folks get through these challenging times. Now, again, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to be very nice about it. Normally, at this point in time, I'd be asking folks to give money to help support this great organization, and I'd be doing a little bit of my trill and auctioneering, and I know that Audrey is lamenting the fact that she can't pay extra money for something that she probably already has 3 of at home, just for the support of Caring Matters. But I did want to remind you guys that certainly we still do need to make sure that this organization remains strong. I want to remind you that on Caring Matters website, just go to caringmatters.org, and you can learn how to get involved and also to make a donation online. And so we want to be able to continue to make sure that these services are provided free of charge like they are now. And that comes from the continued support from each and every one of you. So a significant portion of Caring Matters budget, you know, is raised from this event. And so I really want to thank you for your support to this point. And I know that you all will continue to give as you have before. So you can do our text to give option. For those of you who are tech savvy, go ahead and break out your cell phone. Oh, it's in my pocket. Break out your cell phone and make sure you text Silver Linings. That's SILVERLININGS, Silver Linings, to 44321. And you can make a donation of any size to Caring Matters. So I want to make sure that you guys have a way to do that. And of course, you can always go online to the website. Again, that's caringmatters.org. So again, I started off with some of my remarks about the volunteers. Over 300 volunteers as a part of Caring Matters, everything from Camp Aaron to all the different great programs that we have. And of course, you know your dollars are leveraged well by the direct services being provided by our trained volunteers. It is really, really something where Caring Matters makes sure that we provide services to folks of all ages. We work with folks who are facing serious illness, whether they're in medical hospice or not. They can be in their homes, whether they have insurance, it doesn't matter. And all of the grief support programs that are out there that many of you know. The great thing is that even in the midst of this pandemic, we know that grief and loss did not stop. It didn't. And so we needed to make sure that there was a way to continue the services. And now Caring Matters has gone virtual, which is great. So all of our adults and children and families are getting the information and resources. We're making sure that we're targeting our schools and working with our school system and school counselors and mental health professionals, all working together to start online grief support groups for those who are grieving loss due to COVID-19. And we know that in our own community right here in Montgomery County, we've lost a number of folks. Even in our own families, I know a number of us have lost people to COVID-19. And so it's incredibly important for us to make sure that these services are there now more than ever, because people are feeling isolated. People are feeling shut in. And so we've got to do our part to make sure that just like tonight, we come together, we rally together in support to make sure that we say you are not alone. You are not in this by yourself. We are there by your side. We are going to help you get through this, regardless of whether it takes a lifetime or not. It doesn't matter. Caring Matters isn't going anywhere. And so it's a great thing. We've got great community education programs that are also now virtual. We're cultivating constructive dialogue about the family caregiving challenges that are related to some of our folks who are facing illness and loss. And, you know, recently Caring Matters just received national recognition about their program. In fact, they were quoted in the Wall Street Journal and featured in a Washington Post column. There is such a demand that's out there for guidance and resources to support some of our most vulnerable in our community, our grieving children. And so I really just want to, again, say thank you to Caring Matters for what it is that you do for our community. We oftentimes tout Montgomery County as one of the best places to live, work, and play. Well, the reality is that only happens with organizations like Caring Matters. It only happens because when you have a welcoming place that's full of love, that's full of support, that's full of caring, folks matter, and that makes a difference. So again, I really want to say thank you to everyone, congratulate my other awardees, but really congratulate Caring Matters for what it is you do each and every day. You're truly lifesavers. You're truly making a difference in our community, and we can't thank you enough for that. And so I will now turn it over to our final speaker, Audrey Rothstein, the chair of the Caring Matters Board of Directors. Audrey, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you so much, Craig. And congratulations again on your award and the wonderful way you've guided us through this evening. Good evening, everyone. My name is Audrey Rothstein, and I'm the chair of the Caring Matters Board of Directors. It's my honor and privilege to work alongside the Caring Matters staff, volunteers, and both the Board of Directors and Board of Trustees to help guide the organization through the challenges of this unprecedented time. 2020 has been a year full of changes, cancellations, and compromises, but also compassion, innovation, and creativity. Through the fog of uncertainty, our North Star is the concept and the truth exemplified by our name, Caring Matters. Caring is the foundation of this organization. It is who we are. It is what we do. It's what this world needs more of every day. Tonight, each speaker and honoree has helped us see the universal aspects of grief and loss, as well as the power of caring. I hope you've been inspired by tonight's program to think, act, and offer care. It's crucial for us to remember that although our views may differ, the human urge to support each other during difficult times rises above it all. At Caring Matters, we never lose sight of that reality. Before I close this evening's program, I want to thank each of you so much for joining us and for continuing to support Caring Matters. We could not do our crucial work without you. Your support in all its forms gives us the strength, inspiration, and the means to be fully present for those facing increasingly complicated illness and grief. Think for a moment about the importance and the breadth of our programs. Whether you are grieving the loss of a spouse, facing stressful challenges as a caregiver for a seriously ill family member, newly diagnosed with cancer, trying to support a grieving child, or even perhaps a young child trying to process the loss and absence of a parent, Caring Matters is there. Together, we can be there and ensure this support continues to be available and free of charge to anyone who needs it. To get more involved and to make an additional gift to Caring Matters, please visit our website at caringmatters.org. Thank you very much. Take care and good night.